Hello, let's look at Rust and AI. I've kind of avoided it, partly because it's not something which I'm particularly expert at, but I thought it was about time just to embrace it and just see what we can learn based on what we already know and how we can kind of leverage that. So I'm going to be doing a shuttle-based tutorial. You will need an OpenAI API key, which means you'll probably need to give them your credit card details, which I've reluctantly done, but I think it's probably a necessary evil. If you try and use Hugging Face large language model, Llama or whatever, then it's yeah. On old hardware like my poor old laptop, my Dell 5890 Latitude or whatever, yeah, it just doesn't like it. So just for saving time, and to be honest, if learning this is going to get you a well-paid job, then I think giving $5 to OpenAI is probably a cross you got to bear. So yeah, let's get going, and I'm going to pick out kind of a lot of the things that we already know, and it's not that daunting actually. So yeah, let's begin. Okay, so this is the tutorial, and it's by Ivan Senja, building your first AI tool in Rust. So really, we're using OpenAI, and we're writing some Rust code which will allow us to interrogate a CSV file which is held locally, and we can query it using ChatGPT. So Shuttle, by the way, it's free to get a Shuttle account. You don't need an account to do this tutorial. So yeah. But worth looking at Shuttle. Particularly, they've got quite a lot of good tutorials. So prerequisites, CSV file, which we create from we can copy and paste the data from this tutorial. So obviously you need Rust, CSV, which we get from this site, and the OpenAI key, which, yeah, you'll need a credit card, unfortunately, and register with OpenAI and so on. Assuming you can do that or have done that, then set up the project. CSV, LLM chain, LLM-chain-OpenAI. So create your projects first. So within that TOML file, add these 3 lines. We're using good old Tokyo with macros and RT multi-thread. These lines add the required dependencies for our project. CSV for reading the CSV files. LLM chain for natural language processing. Tokyo for the async functionality. So I've actually done all this already. So this is the code. It's not too much. That's 47 lines. So let's just zoom in a bit on that. And a lot of this is not specific to AI as such. So if you've been learning Rust for a while, then you should be able to add in the additional parts which are AI specific. Say AI, I mean large language model specific. So got standard error, FS file. We're going to be opening files, and IO, which will take some user input, which basically takes our question, the question that we will be asking the large language model. CSV reader. So here we go, use LLM chain. It's got something called an executor, parameters, prompts. So the executor it's a macro, but it's almost like, when you some frameworks where at the start you have to create an instance of the app class. I'm picturing that kind of in a similar way. So we create, say, variable binding of file, which is file open data CSV. So we're going to read the data CSV, which is obviously going to be in the local directory because we've not specified a full path. It's just relative path. Create a reader. So here we're doing reader from reader and file. So we're reading from the file, which is this data.csv. We're reading from the CSV file into something called reader, mutable. And then we'll use that later on and result in reader.record. So we iterate over it. For each line, basically, we will push it to a new vector, and at the end of each line, we're going to add in a comma, or I think we add in a comma. Yeah, for each record, we iterate over the record, collect it as a vec, and then we add in the comma. And then we push it to the CSV data object, or which is a new string or an empty string that we've created here. So loop, we're going to loop and basically keep printing the response from the large language model and keep printing, keep asking for the next prompt. And if you want to escape that, then you type quit. Trim is once you start working with strings in Rust, you'll find you use trim quite a lot, especially when reading lines, because otherwise you end up with the new line character, and that will prevent you from getting matches, or if you're checking if something is equal, you'll like if your username is Bob, and you'll be trying to do something like check if username equals Bob, and it won't be because you'll be comparing Bob against Bob /n. So the prompt string, this is the instruction to the large language model. I don't think unless you're a prompt engineer, I don't think we need to get into the world of prompts. That's just the instruction to the large language model, which we can accept that. So really, these are the only 2 lines or 3 lines that are kind of specific. Or so step. If we go to the documentation, obviously they've explained it all here way better than I just have, but sometimes it's easier just to watch a video. If you're being kind of passive, watch a video and just hear somebody talk about it. So the step instance, and I've done chat models. I've used kind of LangChain with Python and things like that before. So I've not heard of step before. So step is steps are individual LLM invocations in a chain. So exactly what you would imagine a step to be it's a step. For prompt template, so this is the specific syntax. So step for prompt template, then you pass in the prompt and prompt string. So prompt string, let's just trying to find it with the ampersand as well. Let's just try and see if we can find prompt string. So yeah, the prompt string is there that we format as well, because it's taking in these user prompt. So the prompt string is basically contains the user prompt and the data. So we're passing in the user prompt and the data to the step, and then we're doing step run using some parameters and then the ampersand exec, which was what I showed near the start, which I equated to, like how often you'll see app equals app parentheses, like in Fast API in Python, for instance, you create the app as your very first step, no pun intended. So we read from a CSV file, we create an object, and then we pass that to the large language model along with our question, effectively, and we do that in a loop. When I was typing this in, I kept getting errors, and it was because I'd kind of followed the steps and so rather than just copying and pasting, I did actually kind of try and type one line at a time or chunks of this and gradually build it up. When I was doing that, I forgot to add this line, which kept on giving me an error because we're expecting a result. I don't know if I'd like to know everybody's opinion on this because I heard, is it Primogen the other day saying, don't use box dyne error. I think Jeremy Chone, he recommended anyhow for a while, and then I've been reading this, and also I've learned about this error as well. So I'd be interested to know what people think is the kind of the best way to handle errors. I know it varies on the circumstance, but in general, anyhow, this error, box dyne error. So without further ado, let's just clear that, and you can see I've already run it, and it's already I've asked it who earns the most. So let's run it again, and let's ask it who runs the least, who earns the least even. Which employee earns the least? The employee who earns the least is Olivia, who earns $12,000 annually as a student. Let's ask it a question it might not know. Let's just say which employee has the highest. Oh, we got a big different response here. To determine which employee has the highest IQ, we need to recognize intelligence is not explicitly provided in the CSV data. Okay. Therefore, it's not possible to determine because it's not correlated. Well, that told us, didn't it? So yeah, that's I think it's a really nice tutorial because it kind of it links or it uses lots of things that you will hopefully already know. If you've been learning Rust for say a year or so, then you'll be familiar with reading the CSV file. You'll be familiar with error handling. You'll be familiar with the loop, asking the user for the input. If you're new to Rust, I would say quite a good exercise would actually be to memorize how to do this. So ask for a prompt, read the prompt, and then you trim it. That's really important to trim it. And then yeah, and then provides the user with a way to actually exit cleanly. So yeah, Shuttle has got some really good tutorials, which I see they've added Shuttle AI in particular here. So you can deploy an app in under 5 minutes. Well, I become a beta user now. So a lot of this is going to get made available by automatic deployment eventually. So as always, keep in mind um, what could get automated, what could end up becoming I wouldn't say redundant, but keep bear in mind what kind of things will get automated and you will no longer need to use in the future. So as a human, we always need to be trying to think of innovative ways to. There's an Axum demo there as well. Look, innovative ways to learn and use code and software that will. Warren Buffett, the investor, he talks about having a moat. So as a developer, you need to create your own moat so that you don't get made redundant by something like Shuttle, which can deploy an AI app in 5 minutes. So that might even be just thinking, oh, I'm not going to do all this online web-based stuff. I'm just going to do embedded, and that's one idea I had. But for the meantime, whilst learning Rust, Shuttle is a really good source of tutorials. And yeah, you can kind of get the flavor for what is and will be automated. So maybe don't learn Axum, or maybe learn Axum a little bit, but don't make it your entire career, because if Shuttle can deploy it from scratch with like a boilerplate version, and unless you're going to be really, really expert in Axum, just being average in Axum, you're going to be replaced by something like Shuttle in a 5 minute deployment. That's my philosophy anyway. So, um, but there's plenty to learn here, and um, I think once you can kind of read and understand this, it gives you some good confidence. And I think when you're learning a new language, it's good to it's good to have good confidence, because without it, you just get demoralized and you wonder if you're ever gonna master it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'd be interested to know about the errors, and I'd be interested to know what you think about whether something like Shuttle could just make you redundant as a developer. Personally, I don't think so, because I think a lot of this is kind of looking backwards. So it's based on stuff that's already been invented and written and created, and there's always new stuff. And also, there's always the problem with whether something is stored on premise or so. In a moment, if you wanted to do this locally, you wouldn't want to be using OpenAI. If you're not using OpenAI, then maybe the other language models aren't suitable. So yeah, I just wanted to share this really, because it's just a good tutorial just to combine reading from files, handling errors, standard in, read line, trim, which is, I know it's quite basic command, but it's really important. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon. Thumbs up and all the usual stuff. Thank you.